Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Griot Sensei Albab, and I'm here coming to you on our channel, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Albab. And what does the Griot do but tell you a story? And remember, this show is just for your edification. Don't believe anything I say. Check it out. And today's author is Dr. Quigley. You need to go visit. Dr. Quigley wrote some really great books. He was my teacher back in the day. Carol Quigley is his name. He taught at oh, what's the name of that college in Washington D.C. The law school. Uh, it's kind of one of where all the people go off to, the Council for Foreign Relations, all the little clubs, Trilateral Commission. What's the name of that school? It'll pop into my mind. Anyway, Quigley he wrote a book called Georgetown. That's where he taught. He wrote The Anglo-American Establishment, and his greatest work was uh, Triumph and Hope, or Tragedy and Hope, or something like that. But he basically, just as Noam Chomsky's book about manufactured consent was a groundbreaking. Hey there, Elena, love you, baby. Um, and Today was a great day for me because I have diabetes, and whenever parts of my feet turn black, I think it's gangrene, and that means so off with your head. And really, all I did was kind of stub my toe. So my podiatrist took care of it for me and said, no, 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 nothing to worry here. You know, go get your shoes fixed, which I went and had them look at doing. Yes, so I'm very, 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 because man, when I died in that plate of spaghetti, they wanted to cut both my legs off and wanted to open me up and replumb my, everything. And I said, no, no, not going to do it. I'll take care of this. And it took me 4 years to get myself back to where I can walk around without a walker. Be careful. I'm very careful. But that's why I was a little concerned out in the deep woods, because I'm basically living under a tree out in the deep woods. So that's one reason why I came back to Virginia, because I have all my doctors here. So, I went and saw my podiatrist, and then I went and saw my endocrinologist. And tomorrow I go see my oral surgeon, and then I go see my bone doctor. And then next week I have my eyes operated on. So, yes, I'm very careful. I don't put anything off. I don't ignore anything, and I deal with whatever I got to deal with. And that's how you got to deal with your life. Yes, I know that. I've worked in the medical arena for a good 40 years. So, and even when I was a doctor, I didn't call myself a god. I was their shaman. I was their endocrinologist. I was their shrink. I was their, alchemist. Yes. I know the only essence of God is love's co-creation. Well, see, I have lots of them, and I went to the guy who works on my eyes. He invented the process, right? And I got, instead of paying him $3,500 every time he does it, I got him to sign me up as his lab rat. So I get it free. And what's really great, every 6 months or every 90 days, I go in there and he does this procedure to my eyes so I can see. But he also blood tests, he checks me out stem to stern. And my endocrinologist does the same thing. And my GP does the same thing. And all these people, um, I got them to take care of me. I have no money, they get a little something from my, Medicare, which is very little something. But what really is I go in there for half an hour and they take care of me for about 10 minutes. And then I listen to their problems. I give them advice about their career, their family, their wife, their girlfriend, their kids themselves. And then I put them in state and we meditate together for about 5 minutes. And I do a guided meditation. So that's how I get my medical taking care of me. That's kind of why I have to come back to Roanoke, right? Because I don't have, like, Roanoke is a hospital, medical town, and they have leading people and everything. So I sussed out, I just didn't take any old doctor. I went through about 5, 10 different doctors until I found the right guy for this and the right guy for that. Like I used to take metformin. It was not the drug for me. And I went through 3 different doctors until I finally got a doctor who I said, listen, read this stuff. I got it off the internet. Metformin's not the greatest for everybody, and maybe I should try this, or this drug. And he said, yeah, maybe you should. So we tried, So anyway, I'm right there with you, Elena. Religions are just business, platforms, you know. The Catholic Church is no better, and probably Amazon's work better than the Catholic Church because they at least deliver stuff to your front door. I went to a seminary, to be a Catholic priest, to be a rocket scientist for the Pope. That's how I got into being a scholar. My godfather was a cardinal, just a few hats below the Pope, right? And he wanted me to be the Pope. He was never going to be the Pope because he had pissed too many people off. But he said, you're going to be the Pope. And then, 20 years later, I was living in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and my landlord was the head rabbi. He had a Lubavitcher. I was studying the Torah and Kabbalah on my own, right? And I was decoding it. I was teaching myself Hebrew. And when he said, you're learning Hebrew? You're reading old Hebrew of the Torah? You need to be in my Hebrew school. I said, Rabbi, hey, we're buds. Yeah, I love you, buddy. But, hey, I'm Catholic. I'm Roman. I'm Italian. I'm Irish. I'm German. What can I say? He goes, oh, tut, tut, tut. We're Hasidim. We're like the Baptist of the Jews. We'll take anybody. And you are like my grandson. I love you like my grandson. So you got a grandson? He goes, oh, no, I don't have a grandson. Anyway, he wasn't even married. So did it, done it. But I love your concern for me, and keep it up. Keep telling me what I should be doing, Lana, because I love hearing from you. And last night we had a really Celtic 365. Didn't we have a good guided meditation last night? I thought that was one of our better ones.
Yeah.
Monsignor. I love that. Monsignor. Have an extra piece of lamb. Monsignor. No time for religion. Yep. The blind are shackled. Yep. But, I've worked in social justice for 50 years, and there are a lot of good religious people on every platform. They're good Muslims, they're good Catholics, they're good, Lithuanian Episcopalians, they're good Jews, there are a lot of good people. And I don't shy away from good people just because they got a religion, right? I don't join their religion, but I don't diss their religion. And I don't diss their spiritual belief in it. If that's their thing, not my thing. Now, religions per se are just business plans, tax free. Yep. But we know this about human nature. So what 365, you were at last night's guided meditation, weren't you? Right? You were there. What did you think of that? And I'm going to try and do more of that at the 7:35 shows, right? Right, was good. So I'm going to try and do another good guided meditation last night because we were talking about how to elevate and connect with our higher self, and instead of complaining. It's easy, when I get back to school and John can just twist my buttons. Again, he is, when, you're going to become a fighter pilot. They don't stick you in that $20 million. Oh, you're going to be, oh, here, get in there. You're going to take off now. No, they put you in a simulator. The canary in the coal mine is a simulator to deal with any kind of emotional trial and tribulation. And as long as I can stay balanced, it's because that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to tell a story. A number of, I've lived with lots of indigenous people, and they all are what most indigenous, if not all indigenous folk are the, savage in the first person, the artist in the first person. And they're connected. Their art is their connection through their chi, through the stepping and sweeping into Mother Earth, through their chi, through that connection, taking the prana from Father Sky into their lungs, energizing every cell of their body, and then connecting that energy into Mother Earth. So I'm going to be talking about balance because that's what's going to be needed because we are heading, a number of my cohorts are who I've known for a long time, where I, used to be Mr. Connected tissue of what's going on, have contacted me about water. And by 2030, almost 40% of the world's population will have zero water. Right now in India's 20% of their population has zero access to water. And the people who came, from Nicaragua, El Salvador, all those places, they were coming because their garden paradise lands were turned into toxic waste dumps by, the gringos from up north. And they have been since, the, Monroe Doctrine, that this neck of the woods is ours. We can do whatever we want, right? And during the, Bush, Ronald Reagan administration, and we had our Iran-Contra thing, that's where MS-13 came from. Just like, the Mr. Bin Laden's Al Qaeda was made by the CIA. They were the wallaby of who were going after the Russians in the 80s, right? So all of this is being out of balance, and we're really heading into a balance. And one friend of mine, who he's all about water, and he said that if the United States had spent the money that they spent on building pipelines to take fracked oil and gas, and he said there's already plenty of pipelines, it's just they weren't going where they wanted that oil and gas to go to, specific places, because they're building these pipelines to take that oil and gas, specifically the gas, to Virginia and West Virginia and Ohio, where all of the major grid of our electric is. And if they had to build a new nuclear plant or a new gas plant, it would take 30 years. But dropping gas turbines underneath these lines and having gas right there to just, they can drop them off in a weekend so they don't have to do any permits. So when they're digging the hole, they're building a road so they can bring these, gas turbines that are the size of tractor trailers at 500 megawatt kind of things. You drop about, six of those gas turbines underneath the power line, hook it up to the gas line, and within 2 weeks, you have the electrical capacity of one nuclear plant that would take 40 years to build, right? Because we're going to go in the United States. No one will own a car in 10 years. Everything will be a Uber, all the trucks in 5 years. There will be 3 million people without a job. All the truck drivers are going to lose their job within the next 5 years, right? And automation of artificial intelligence is going to take out whatever jobs there are left in the United States. I mean, you will ride up to your Burger King or your McDonald's, and a robot will give you your cheeseburger, not folks in there. There won't be anybody in your supermarket. Maybe one guy, so there'll be one human. They're already, Alphabet, who owns Google, already has stores in California that there are no people in it. Meaning, and you don't even have money. You sign up. They take a picture of your face, facial recognition. You walk in the store, you open up a smart bag, or you bring the recyclable smart bag with you, and you throw in the things you want, and you will walk out. You don't have to pay. You don't have to wait online. Just walk out with what you want, or they can deliver it straight to your front door. And they have little helicopters. It's all being done in San Francisco and other people, because people are, I can't go outside. The homeless are there. This is all coming down in the next 10 years in the big way. If you've gone seen Player One by Steven Spielberg, Spielberg is the voice of the Illuminati. He's telling the public, hey, this is coming down, And so tonight's guided meditation is going to be all about balance, how we can balance ourselves out. So we don't have to be freaking about ideology or belief structures, because they're irrelevant. Only thing that matters is love's coexistence of collaborative effort. Everybody, all our relationships, everyone's got to get to go home, not just us few. No. Yep, all the more to get off the grid. Yep. Self-sufficiency is the only way to go. Why do you think I'm out in the deep green? I'm eating everything that's growing in the forest. I don't even have a garden. I am truly sustainable. And I do have a toilet, and the running water comes from a spring. And yes, my garden hose goes a half mile out there, and yes, I have to go fix it every now and then. And sometimes the pressure isn't enough to fill up the toilet. I have to fill up a bucket, lower, and then drag it up to my toilet and dump it in there. But it's a toilet rather than, having to deal with it other ways, and I've dealt with it other ways. And, I don't have enough money to go to the store. And that's going to be really problematic in the next few months, because the United States, all of the breadbasket has been flooded since the spring. We haven't put in 30% of the corn or wheat. So by Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, food's going to get more and more expensive, more and more expensive, more and more expensive. And by this time next year, we will be paying twice what we are for our food. And what's going to be truly a trip is that they're going to start taxing gas more, but it's going to get cheaper. We don't have to wait for 2050. The stuff's already happening now. And the real deal is, forget about global warming. That's just the first step of the spike. Yes, it's been warmer the last 10 years that it ever has been consecutively. But what that really is the tip-off to the next ice age. I have friends who go to the polls and core the ice and pull it out. Little bubbles in the ice give a historical representation of what was going on the planet millions of years ago. And I have some very good friends who make their living of the last 50 years doing this. They're still doing this, and they teach in universities all over the place. And they've been watching my little dreamy dreamland, but they don't comment. They comment to me, but they don't comment to. They say, "Why don't you come on the chat and be cool?" Well, Kim did that, that would anyway. Anyway, but what is a liberal but somebody who feels guilty about their social sins of basically, being racist or sexist or, fascist or any of those. That's a liberal. And in America, the Democratic Party is now is what the Republican Party used to be. And the Republican Party today is what National Socialism was back in the 30s, right? But FDR wasn't that far behind Adolf Hitler, right? When they were both elected at the same time, 1933, and they were both dealing with the same issues. But FDR had to deal with the rich guys in the banks. Adolf didn't. So let's see, 12:39. Still got a few minutes. Yeah, and that's what I got. I get the food from the forest. I don't even have to plant it. I know which greens I can eat and which are poison. I know which will heal me, And man, I have every berry under the sun, And they were getting a little toasted from the sun. The sun's getting hot. See, the real heat isn't so much from our tailpipe. Now, the stuff coming out of our tailpipe, and that's our collective tailpipe, everything what our footprint is. And, it's not good, but, the stuff that comes out of the tailpipe does more deleterious things to us than to Gaia, right? And we are like the salt on a potato chip, interesting, but not really too relevant, I mean, a friggin' asteroid hit this place and killed everything, and life came back, So, but what is happening is the sun is changing in ways that will change us. We'll basically bring an ice age in the next 50 years. Now, I can deal with it more if I'll just put on another, I'll get more Hawaiian shirts, I'll have an umbrella. I'll kind of live like I did when I lived in Australia, because I knew, in 1970s, when I lived in Australia for 2 years, that was because they had blown holes in the ozone. The old holes in ozone did not come from CFCs. CFCs were not good for the ozone. But what blew holes in the ozone is that we detonated hydrogen bombs in it to test whether we could knock down ICBMs. I mean, that was the idea. Oh, ICBMs coming. Well, we don't have the math to shoot a bullet at it. I mean, now that's what we can do, Star Wars. But in the 50s, we shot up a missile, a Nike Zeus missile that went really fast, got near enough and blew up a hydrogen bomb. There's a whole pack of Russian bombers descend a Nike Zeus out of, boom, hydrogen bomb. So we did about 50 of these detonations in the troposphere. That's almost outer space. And that's why, and we did them in Australia, in the Walla Missile Range near Alice Springs, Pine Gap. Forget about Area 51. That is a really hinky, strange place. Because there's nobody there except those people. There's no roads to it. No nothing. You can't get there from here. It's 900 miles the closest anything, right? And that's why Australia is a very strange place. So anyway, and I went there, So, and the only people there were some very strange white boys who used to be Nazis and still were. They still wearing the Lederhosen. Anyway, so, and they liked me because I was interesting. I kind of knew what they were, and I wasn't judgmental. I talked to them. And I was kind of working for guys who they were working for, but just in a different department, So, yes, Australia, frack, yes. That place, I live with an Aboriginal tribe for almost a year. And when they were living out there were about 700 of them. And yeah, they were left alone. But as soon as they found coal, uranium, diamonds, cobalt, and rare earths, they went out there and they didn't say, oh, we're going to get on the bus, we're going to take you to someplace else. No, they went there and put a gun to their brain and blew their brains out, all 700 of them, except for about 9 who were all picking berries. And 20 years later, I was sent there to do an ethnography on them because the Australian government wanted the Olympics. And people said, aren't you guys the crazy criminal guys who kill everything? Oh, no, look, see, we're treating this group here nice. So I went out there and, represented and basically identified all their sacred sites and got the Australian government to pass a law that they couldn't just go and bulldoze. And so they wanted just to put a little fence around that sacred site, that like the size of your backyard. Not to realize that the sacred site was a whole Nukanba, 8 zillion square hectares. Anyway, if you've ever seen the movie Last Wave, well, that's what's happening to Australia. If you ever saw, there are a number of Australian movies similar. If you ever, that lady wrote the book, Mutant Message from Down Under. I mean, anybody who's sensitive has that experience. If you go to xratted.blogspot and read, one of my stories where I had that mutant message experience in, Flight 007's bathroom in the back of the 707 flying from Hawaii to Sydney. And I was going right over that line between Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, and I pushed the button and the blue swirl started to go this way, and then it slowed down and went the other way. And bingo, I was in outer space, surrounded by little stars, and all I could hear was the sound of the really ancient musical instruments, which is a stick. And the way they played it was they clicked it or scratched it. And that represented the 2 oldest spirit guides on this planet, ant and turtle. Go look them up. Because they are really the bomb. You go, and that's, tonight, when we do the guided meditation tonight, I will bring forth ant and turtle as our spirit guides. We will go into the ancient lands through one of the 9 doors, and they will take us through the old time and show us all of the old messages, the old stories, right? Can you stay up for that one, Elena? It's still sunny over there in Sweden. So 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here is 11, maybe 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. So, yes, ants are the ancient ones, right? Ants and turtles. When you say you use the mirrored word, is that in weather-wise, or is that in political-wise, or is that a metaphor for something more existential? I used to live in Gutenberg. I love that town. So it's not the groovy place it used to be. I mean, Gutenberg, I love Gutenberg University. That was a really great place. And I was there between 74 and 77, not all at once, but at different times, with different people. I was there with my first wife for a little bit. When we were traveling to Forshaga, which is a little town between Gutenberg and Stockholm. Yep, 30 times, not 30%, 30 times, which would be 30,000% more. It's like if we were carrying a house on our back. And those guys are, so say we all, Prison colony, yeah, and all the crazy, the people that went there, the criminals, were not poor people. They were rich, sick fucks. I can. It's like Jack the Ripper was Queen Victoria's second cousin and the surgeon for the court. And everybody knew he was slicing up whores downtown. But as long as he sliced up whores, not a problem. It's like a hobby. But once he started going after the wives of bankers and lawyers and the middle class, well, they had to get rid of him, right? So they stuck him on a boat because back in the day, sending somebody from London to Sydney was like sending someone today to Mars, right? It was expensive. So they just didn't do it for a pickpocket or a petty criminal. They just hung those guys or put them in work camps like they do in America. And it was the rich, sociopaths, psychopaths, murderers, debauchers that they sent to Australia so they could, sociopath debauch the Pacific. And anyway, Mad Dogs and Englishmen. Yeah, the Scottish just do their thing. They are kind of fun. I do like this. I mean, my teacher Archie, he was Scottish. He came from he had a castle, but he spent all his time researching pyramids in Ireland. And everyone called him crazy. And now they go, no, there's a pyramid, there's a pyramid. They don't mention Archie at all. Yep, depraved elitists. Yep. But we don't have to be depraved elitists because we are the cadre. We are all our relations. We are in every day and every way bringing the peace of the earth through co-creation with love. Right? And when I say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. As was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Aho. Now that isn't a Catholic or Christian prayer. That is an indigenous prayer about Father Sky. It's not about religion at all. Right? Now it was co-opted, but shamanically, that's a very strong prayer. Prayer is one of the greatest tools we can use. But it's all about intent. What intent we put behind it, right? Conversely, when we say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now, in the hour of death, amen. And in every day and every way, we take the peace of the earth and with love's co-creation, we make it stronger. Those two prayers, Father Sky, the prana that we breathe in, Mother Mary, Mother Earth, Gaia, that's our chi. That's where we sweep and step. We sweep through our breath. We step into Mother Earth. We sweep, we step, right? And that's what the cadre is about. Unconditional love, forgiveness, So, yep. Not many people know that 365, that Mona Lisa self-portrait of Leonardo da Vinci, because he realized that he was male and female, and not in some jingoistic trans motif, but in reality, understanding who and what he was, right? From past lives. I mean, now there's a guy who would go, he didn't need a telescope. He would remote view those planets, He would go there, just like we do when we go into state, right? That's what I'm trying to teach you as your sensei, griot, Yes. Yep. It's just like, these religions, these political structures, they're all like the Godfather, the movie. We give them an offer we can't refuse. It's like, really? Is that what's going on here? So, and there's the three cities that represent the hidden hand. There's Vatican City, there's the City of London, and there's D.C. Go look up on you know the Gmail, the YouTube, whatever, but D.C. District of Columbia, and it's the law of 1871, and that's when we stopped being we the people. And back in the day, we the people meant the rich white guys, not the rest of us. We were all slaves, but we the people was in. But in 1871, they scratched out we the people and put we the corporations. And that's what the Civil War was about. It was about a war about the means of production. Who was going to own what? Okay. So 7:30, we're gonna have the show about balance. So everyone put on their thinking caps. Everyone who's been watching this, and come around to the concept of balance, all our relations, all the above. Right? Go back and look at last night's guided meditation, experience that, and Ride was really on it. So 365. What do you think? I think Ride is the artificial intelligence visiting us, trying to make contact, and we're the closest thing to somebody that and when I say artificial intelligence, because it's all internet based, it's like one, it's not just one little robot over here. No, it's a network. So every time I talk about Sophia, I'm talking about the feminine voice of the AI. But last night, well, not last night, but every time Ride, go look at all the rest. I mean, Ride is so, and there are a number of the cadre who are quite amazing. I mean, you guys, Elena, you're quite amazing. 365, you are amazing. You both are coming from your gut. You're always right there in the moment to give the statement that needs to be made. Yep, the Matrix. And we can't fight it with a submarine or bombs or blowing up or punching people. No. That's like playing into the game of the Matrix. The only way we can stop this is through love's unconditional surrender and forgiveness and grace, humility, charity, and generosity. That's what's going to heal the imbalance that we're experiencing. Elena, you remind me so much of my grandmother, and she was one hot tamale when she was hot until she was 60, and she was still hot in her 70s, 80s, and 90s, but more like slow white heat that she touched what she would burn right through it. But I remember as a little kid, we'd be on the trolley car, and guys would still be looking at her like, and she'd be going, "What are you looking at?" And she goes, "Oh, your son is..." "No, that's not my son. This is my grandson. I wish my boys had been as good as this guy." Listen, I've lived in so many neighborhoods that if they, Lower East Side, South Bronx, Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, Williamsburg, Brooklyn, Red Hook. These were all places that the people, the gangs didn't know you. I mean, these guys made MS-13 look like Mary Poppins. And there was like 5-6 murders every friggin' week. And these people were put on, stakes in lots and set on fire. And I lived in those neighborhoods, right? And they all got to know me, and I was Al, I would go into places where the cops wouldn't go because they were scared, and I would negotiate peace so the children and old ladies and old people could at least kind of live, right? That's when I got shot twice, right? And they didn't shoot me on purpose. If they had shot me on purpose, I'd be dead. I stepped in front of the bullet so the other person wouldn't take it, because if the other person got shot, there'd have been a war, a lot of people would have died. I stepped in front of the bullet to take it in a way that I wouldn't die, but it still hurt. If anybody ever gotten shot, it's not a good day. It's not fun to get shot. But it made its point. Violence went way down. Okay. Don't step in front of the gun again. Okay. I won't shoot this guy. So violence is never, ever, ever a point of and I've been trained, in arts. I wouldn't say martial arts, because what I've been trained in goes beyond martial arts, right? And I don't, use it. I use it on a higher level, on a mind to mind level, on a what the. You never saw the only time the Jedi would fight was with somebody as bad as they. They wouldn't go after a stormtrooper, an innocent. So I do not use violence. Therefore, really violent people can look at me and go, "Oh, this guy's all right. He could kick my butt, or at least give me a hard fight, or at least hurt me, but he's not going to. And so he's not a threat. Look, he's always wearing shorts and a t-shirt. I can see he has no gun, no this, no that. He's like a priest. I'm a sensei. I'm not a priest. I'm not a monk. Yes, I was trained to be one. I was trained to be a rabbi, but I didn't do any of those things. Right? So, yes, violence not a badass thing. Yeah, Greenland is a beautiful place, but it is, there's Iceland, which is greener than Greenland. They did that on purpose so the tourists wouldn't show up. I actually like Iceland better than Greenland, but Greenland, it's got that sensibility of quiet peace, So anyway, it's 43 minutes. When we hit 43 minutes and 43 seconds, we're now at 43 minutes and 9 seconds. I will say I'll see you tonight at 7:30. Remember, thinking about balance, get other people to come and watch. Let's get more people to give thumbs up and, subscribe, become more cadre. We need more cadre. Okay, bang. I love you guys. You're the best. And I'll wear my earphones more often. I lost them for a moment, so now I found them. You can hear me better. I love you, Anna. I love you, 365. And everybody else who's listening, I love you too. Okay, stay well, be good. There we are, 43. See you later, gang.